Welcome to the council meeting. In the best interest of time, efficiency, and ensuring that everyone who wishes to address the council is given the opportunity to do so, the following will apply to all comments made by the public. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to address the council unless such time is extended by the mayor or by questions from council. Group shall designate a spokesperson to avoid repetition of comments. Every effort will be made to avoid interrupting speakers. For your information, the items listed in section 11 of the agenda are for first reading and introduction, and the council will not take final action on them tonight. If you have questions on these items, please see city staff in the back of the chambers. Thank you for participating in your city government. I call this meeting to order. And can we all please stand for the invocation by Pastor Delbert Rogers from Champion Baptist Church, who will lead us in the invocation, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray together. Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this occasion. We thank you for the folks that gathered here to conduct the business of our city. We do pray for the councilman, the mayor, and all those in authority here tonight, that, Lord, you'll give them your wisdom. I pray, Father, we'll be fair, honest in all of our dealing. We do pray that the Lord Jesus may have the preeminent in everything we say and do in this place. We do ask in his name and for his sake. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. And Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Robertson.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Here.
Councilmember Paul.
Here.
Councilmember Urban.
Here.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Here. And City Manager Miller, do you have any agenda updates for us?
Yes, thank you. I have 3. First, if anyone is here for the Lakeside at Satya Community Development District public hearing, it is not on this evening's agenda, and it will be re-advertised at a future date. Additionally, I'd like to remove public hearings number 2 and 3. We will re-advertise those in the future. And last, I would ask that we continue public hearing number 8 to the February 13th City Council agenda. And that will require a motion
And a reading.
and a reading. Thank you.
This is the public hearing 1, 2, and 3.
No, public hearing 2 and 3 are
2 and 3, I'm sorry.
removed. Public hearing number 1 stays. So 2 and 3 remove. It will be re-advertised in the future. And then
Okay,
public,
we're still going to annex.
they would like that to
They would-
still
they
be
would
on the
still want
agenda.
that. Okay, I
Yes.
get you. Okay.
Yes. And then public hearing number 8, the property owner has requested that we continue to the February 13th City Council meeting.
Well, Mr. Gilbert, the clerk will read it first and then you can make yours.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, do we ask for a motion on that for what you've requested?
If we can have it read into the record, and then we can ask for a motion.
All right, Madam Clerk, can you please read that into the record?
Public hearing for resolution number 2025-001R, a resolution of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, granting a conditional use to operate a private school in the R-1B Single Family Dwelling Zoning District on approximately 2.46 acres of land known as Christ-Centered Academics, generally located north of East Earlo Bronson Memorial Highway, east of Old Hickory Tree Road, west of Dean Street, and south of 10th Street, as described in the body of this resolution.
All right, Madam Clerk, do we do them all at once?
Well, no, all we need is one motion on the items that the city manager pointed out.
Okay.
And on this one, I think Mr. Gilbert has to declare a conflict.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Yes, I would like to recuse myself from this, being as my involvement with this entity.
Thank you.
And we take a motion on it now, or you want to read the
We
rest?
need a motion to continue it till February 13th.
Can I get a motion to continue that item till February 13th?
Motion to continue to February 13th.
Motion from Deputy Mayor Fletcher,
A second.
second from Councilmember Paul. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Gilbert.
He's not voting.
Oh, abstain, excuse me. Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
And no action is needed on the other items that the city manager brought up.
All right. And so the first item on our agenda is a proclamation denouncing St. Cloud Sundown Town, past reputation, and affirming St. Cloud's acceptance of all residents. This proclamation was sponsored by Councilmember Paul. And would you like to make a motion for the adoption of this proclamation?
Yes.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Paul.
Second.
We have a second from Councilmember Gilbert. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
And Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
And Councilmember Paul, would you like to present this proclamation?
Greetings, everyone. The City of St. Cloud, Florida proclamation. The purpose of this proclamation is to courageously recognize St. Cloud's historical reputation as a sundown town and move forward together in harmony and unity. This proclamation was requested by the NAACP, Osceola County Branch 5121, and fully supported by Councilmember Paul. Whereas early St. Cloud, Florida was recognized as a sundown town, a term used to describe communities that enforce racial segregation and exclusion, often discriminatory laws, social practices, or unwritten rules. And whereas the history of St. Cloud, marked by challenges and growth, has left lasting impact on citizens across the city. And whereas while its past includes periods of exclusion and segregation, today St. Cloud is moving forward with a renewed commitment to positive unity. And whereas the vibrant, diverse community St. Cloud is today embraces inclusivity and welcomes all residents, businesses, and visitors. And whereas this dynamic shift has enriched the cultural fabric of the city and positioned it as a thriving community where different perspectives and Black backgrounds come together to build a stronger, more connected community. And whereas January 15, 1929 is the birthday of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., one of the most influential voices for peace, unity, and human rights in the world history. And whereas Dr. King's words and actions remain a beacon of hope and courage, inspiring people worldwide to strive for unity in the face of division. And whereas Dr. King's teachings remind us that progress is possible through dialogue and collective action. And whereas his legacy serves as a call to honor the dignity and humanity of all people. Now, therefore, I, Jennifer A. Paul, council member, along with the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, do hereby rise together, casting aside the darkness of our city's former reputation, to joyfully declare on this 9th day of January 2025 that St. Cloud is now a place of hope, opportunity, and new beginnings, shining brightly on all citizens. Thank you. So I will ask the NAACP members to come up and do a picture.
everybody's centered as well. Can I get one? Looking right there. Big smile. Best picture of the day right there. All right.
Good evening to the mayor, to the commissioners and all. I am Nina Hill. I am the president of the NAACP Osceola County 5121. I say to you, look at God. We have come a long way, and to be here and to be a part of this day is exceptional for me at 67 years old. Growing up in the area, we don't have to go back and look at history. We're making history today. And we say to you, thank you, diversity. We are here and we're all looking forward to working together, moving forward together to accomplish the same goal. Being kind to one another, working together, and making sure that the generations that's coming behind us see what we have done this day. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, we have a presentation of Employee of the Month for January by Melissa Dunklin.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Melissa Dunklin. This is Tisha Manning, our zoning manager, and Everett Cole, our code compliance supervisor. Sorry, we recently changed the name of that division. So I would like to congratulate, along with Everett and Tisha, our 2025 for the month of January 2025 Employee of the Month, Pam Neal. While she walks up here, I'll tell you a little bit about why she was nominated for Employee of the Month. Pam has worked with the City of St. Cloud since August of 2005 as a code enforcement officer. In the days leading up to Hurricane Milton, Pam was contacted by an elderly couple in need of sandbags. The husband, who is over 70 years old, suffered from a heart condition and leg issues. The wife is also disabled. The couple had no one that could assist them in obtaining much needed resources, so he called and entrusted Pam to assist him with securing his home for the impending Hurricane Milton. Pam quickly began contacting other departments, agencies to obtain information regarding sandbags. Once a location for the sandbags was established, Pam went to the location alone and shoveled sand into the bags, tied the bags, and tossed them into the bed of her truck. She then drove to the resident's home and installed the sandbags to prevent any water damage from occurring to their home. Her acts were paramount in the residents feeling secure and cared for in their time of need. Pam's acts of service were selfless and embodies the city's vision to serve its citizens. Congratulations to Code Enforcement Officer Pam Neal for being recognized as January's Employee of the Month. And I'm pretty sure Pam prepared a speech for you all.
No, just thank you.
Good speech.
So nothing's changed?
Gary, would you like to come on up here and get a picture with us?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats, Pam.
I would like to add, Pam has always been very respectful to citizens. If there's any issue she sees, she contacts them first. I will say, I listened to, if anybody's heard of the Cloudcast podcast that Mary Emma's been doing, I went and listened to that with her and Everett walked away from here. There he is. Great job. Yeah, you're doing good things over there, and kudos to the city manager for all that as well. So y'all are doing good. So thank you, Pam. Get my glasses on here. All right, next section of this meeting is the consent agenda. The next portion of tonight's meeting is the consent agenda, which contains items that have been determined to be routine and non-controversial. If anyone in the audience wishes to address a particular item on the consent agenda, now is the opportunity for you to do so. Additionally, if staff or members of the city council wish to speak on any issues on the consent item, they have the same opportunity. And we do have a few. And the first we have is Camille Levy.
Mayor, can I correct an item before we invite the public up?
Yes, ma'am.
Item C, the cost is incorrect on the agenda. It should actually be $575,613. I just didn't know if any citizens were going to come up and.
That's the roof?
Yes, yes.
That looked like a high number.
It was, and then also.
I mean, it's a big roof. I just, how much, what? I'm sorry.
$575,613.
Thank you.
Big difference than what was printed on the agenda, so I wanted to correct that before anybody came up. And since I'm speaking, if you don't mind, item H, if we could, which is the conceptual calendar, the city council has their budget workshop. And I would request, because there's a conflict, if we could move that to August 20th.
Sorry. Camille, we're going to hold off. We're going to vote on this first. All right. Are any items on the consent agenda? Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Can we,
Sorry.
can I speak on resolution A?
Councilmember Gilbert?
Just to go on record, the reductions are 10% and 18%. Is that correct?
Yes, for 1 year, we will be reducing the building department fees 10% for permits based on square footage and 18% for permits issued by value.
I thank you, city manager. Very seldom do we see reductions in costs. So for our citizens, I think this is great, and for the people that are going to be doing construction or any work for our commercial area too. So thank you. I yield back, Mayor.
And Deputy Mayor Fletcher?
I had the same comment as well. I was going to pull it as well. This is a good thing for our city. It aligns with our strategic plan of providing services to the city. Anytime that we can go ahead and reduce fees that can benefit all of us, I think it's something that is good for the city. And I also want to thank Bob for his leadership in recognizing that and bringing this item forward tonight. So thank you.
All right. Can I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve with the changes to item C, reflecting the roof at $575,613 and adjusting item H to reflect the budget meeting on August 20th.
All right. We have a motion from Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Urban. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, next section of this meeting is citizens forum. Any person who desires to comment on any item not on this agenda is provided this opportunity to address the city council. Each person is requested to complete a sign-in form to be provided to the presiding officer prior to or as soon as practical thereafter, the person to address the council. When you come forward, we ask that you please state your name and your address for the record, and we ask that you please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And now we have Ms. Camille Levy.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and City staff. Camille Levy, 515 Neptune Bay Circle, St. Cloud, Florida. I come to you tonight as president of the Friends of the Veterans Memorial Library in St. Cloud, and I invite you and all of St. Cloud to come and support our semi-annual book sale, which shall be held January 31st to February 2nd, and I believe you all have flyers in front of you. Books, CDs, and tapes are only $5 a bag, and they are replenished throughout the sale. Last year, the 48 members of the Friends of the Library raised over $5,000 in these book sales. We volunteered 920 hours and gave back to the library $9,650 in goods, programs, and services, which benefited all ages of the St. Cloud community. We hope that you will join us in supporting our mission and supporting and stimulating the use of the library's resources and services. We have a gem of a library here in St. Cloud. If you haven't been there, you need to come visit. When that building was founded in 1995, we had 15,000 citizens. I don't need to tell you what we have now. We've sorely outgrown our facility, but we continue to reach hundreds of thousands of individuals throughout the year. So please, all of you, come support the library, come visit us. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. If not, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, well, I know, I think many of us remember when that was Sunbank there. And 1995, Miss Barbara Schumann was my 10th grade teacher. So I know she volunteered quite heavily there.
Yes, she
in the
did
past,
up
so.
until this last year.
Yeah,
So
no, she was a great teacher. So please tell her I said hi if you see
I
her.
will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have Helen Dottie Adams.
Good evening. Helen Dottie Adams, 1767 California Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. Hello, Mayor, council members. It's wonderful for the opportunity to stand before you to ask one simple question. Since I've been here since 2022, I've been helping veterans in our community and their families, and the need is growing desperately. I am asking that you consider doing a Veterans Commission or a Veterans Board so that we have a veterans voice in the city, so that we can do strategic planning for the future and hopefully one day have a one-stop veteran shop so that all veterans and their families has one location to go to get information, because I'm seeing out there in the community that everybody's still very lost. And so part of connecting the dots for veterans, I'm the founder and president, and I'm an Army veteran. And I ask humbly that we do something better for our citizens that in St. Cloud. I love the city and I want to see it grow in veterans issues. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer.
Yeah, that's great, Dottie. I know you're involved with the Sheriff's Department Veterans Council as well. Is that, you want to talk about that?
Yes, sir. I just completed my 2-year requirement to serve on that board, and it was the Victor Board. And we just had a new influx of individuals that wanted to come on the board. So after my 2-year commitment, I have stepped down from that position, but that just gives me more time to work on other things. I just got accepted into the Citizens Academy. So I'm super excited to be part of that.
Very cool. As you know, I sit on Mayor Buddy Dyer's Veterans Council in Orlando, and I know Christine Laddistrake in the audience. She's on there as well, and it's a great organization. It's all veteran resources. There's always somebody, Josh from Soto's office, Congressman Soto's office is on there as well. And I do believe in that, and y'all know I'm heavy in the veterans community as well, and I think that's something we should maybe discuss in the future. We'll talk to staff. And
Yes, sir.
So
thank you so much.
yes, thank you, Dottie. All right, next we have Nick Bianco and Jamie, or can we do two at a time? that
It's up to them if that's how they want to.
Nick Bianco and Jamie Areza?
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman, staff, Chief. We addressed the city today, representation for the store, as we all know it here in St. Cloud. I'm a member of St. Cloud City since 2019. And
Oh, ma'am, can you please give your name and address for the record?
Jamie Areza, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
My
And
first
your
time
address?
addressing you. We're here representing
The address is,
2401 13th Street in St. Cloud.
thank you.
That's a store well known as Thrifty. We all know it. That's my store. And we present here the owner of Thrifty, who wants to add a canopy to his building, making it a state-of-the-art canopy, adding solar panels to it to provide a canopy for his clients where they have shade, as well as energy for his store. This is a new thing for St. Cloud. St. Cloud doesn't have anything like it. It's completely off the code. And so I'm here requesting an exception to code number, 13.14.6, where allowed canopies to gas stations, which Thrifty has both two, one on each side, but it does not allow it to the stores. Therefore, we've been talking to zoning and building to try to address this issue. And they told us the only way we could do this is by requesting an amendment to the code, which we are aware it's hard to do, but we are asking a representation of the owner of the building, who is extremely interested in doing this project for his building and improving technology here in St. Cloud.
Yes, ma'am. I'll ask City Manager Miller if she'd like to address this about staff and their discussions.
Thank you, Mayor. At this point, the Land Development Code does not allow this, and as I understand it, from Building and Fire, there's also challenges with the Florida Building Code also. So we have our business navigator who actually was trying to meet with, I'm not sure if it was you or a different representative. She's out this week. So that meeting has been basically postponed until next week. I don't know. We would need direction from the city council if that is something that you want to do. The code does not allow it. So there's multiple challenges, multiple obstacles that we would have to try to get through.
And I believe the solar panel company reached out to the council and wanted us to meet with them, but I think they should meet with staff first before we sit down and see if they can address some of these issues.
We have had multiple meetings with the staff, and the answer, well, we've had several answers, but one of the answers was to the code that we had addressed you guys in order to do an exception to the code.
Okay. Well, Councilmember Urban.
I'm always looking for ways that St. Cloud can be the most business-friendly city possible. And so I would be open to looking for ways that we can help make an exception possibly here. If they can find a way to make it work with the Florida Building Code, obviously that would be first and foremost. But I would like to see if we can work with them if at all possible.
All right, Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for, you have an awesome store here in town. It's a beautiful building. I know that you guys have been working to renovate that. I know it can be a little scary to get up here
Yes.
and address the council. I think it's a little bit premature to give direction to the city manager at this point, not knowing any information on it. So I would ask that, if you could work with the city, our business navigator, and those folks. I know that she's out until Monday. I've also requested an update from her once she gets back, so that I can take a look at least what you're proposing. And then once I have that information, it'll be better. And then I can make a decision at that time.
Appreciate it.
But again, thank you
Thank
for
you.
everything that you do for the
Thank you.
community.
Good evening.
All right, Councilmember Gilbert.
Just one question. Great idea. So we're looking at a canopy over the parking spaces to generate solar energy for the building itself?
Yes, yes, sir. So there's a drawing where I can show you really quickly if you allow me.
Well, Mayor, if I could,
Yes,
I know
sir.
she's got some drawings and stuff, but there's a process related to code changes like this related. So I think it'd be better to follow with Mr. Fletcher's and the mayor's suggestion, Mr. Urban's.
Yeah.
Let staff, we can look at the drawings and we can report back to the council about what we think, and so the council can give us some direction.
Yes, sir. I believe you just need consensus on that.
Yeah, I would like to also point out though, just so that everybody's clear, because I just pulled up the section of the code. I think the issue is that there's a 25-foot setback. So that, I think that is the section of the code specifically that there would need to have amended to make this work. So now that you know that, is that something that the city council wants us looking at, that type of setback, or would you rather us bring it kind of back at a workshop to talk about it?
First, let's see if she can work, maybe sit down with staff, and maybe you could let us know if it didn't work out, and then we can address it at a later date.
Setback.
25-foot setback, I think is what
Yeah.
the
If you can
challenge
please work,
is.
sit back down with staff, and if
Absolutely.
it doesn't get worked out, then
Yes.
we'll be notified and we can address it down the road.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you. All right. Would anyone else in the audience like to speak during the citizens forum on any item not on the agenda? All right. The next portion of this meeting will be the public hearings. Madam Clerk, please read item 1 into the record.
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2024-71, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, to annex into the City of St. Cloud approximately plus minus 1.64 acres identified as Palm Properties located east of Narcousie Road, north of East Earl Bronson Memorial, south of Lillian Lee Road, west of Puffin Road, in accordance with the voluntary annexation provisions of Chapter 171.044 Florida statutes.
Good evening, Melissa Dunklin, Director of Community Development. This case before you tonight is for a voluntary annexation for the project known as Palm Properties Annexation. The request for annexation is in compliance with state statutes and is contiguous to the city limits on the northern, eastern, and western boundaries of the property. The existing future land use is low-density residential, and the existing county zoning is agricultural. Here's a graphic representation depicting the location of the property, showing that it is contiguous to city limits on the northern, eastern, and western boundaries of the property. On or before October 25th, 2024, staff recommended approval. The Planning Commission also recommended approval. Likewise, it is requested that City Council approve ordinance number 2024-71 for the annexation of the project known as Palm Properties. Both staff and I believe the applicant are present and available for questions.
All right. Thank you. Would the applicant like to speak on this item?
Good evening. My name is Matthew Verkes, 4732 Red Pine Way, Wesley Chapel, Florida. I'm actually the son of the property owner. I'm just here to answer any questions, if anything. And yeah, we have no additional comments. We don't have any additional comments regarding the annexation, but I don't know if I could take a time to mention, we did have some drainage issues arise due to some development in the recent, in the surrounding area.
I think right now we're just talking about
Just talking about the
the
annexation right
annexation.
now.
Yes,
Gotcha.
sir.
Okay.
And if you'd like to address that with staff,
Okay.
maybe talk to staff
No problem.
after the meeting and then get you information on that.
Yeah, apart from that, no additional comments.
Can I entertain some discussion from council on this item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Deputy Mayor Fletcher, second from. sorry,
Mr. Mayor, before you take a vote, can you ask for just specifically for public comment?
Oh, yes.
You
I'm
asked
so
for the
sorry. I
applicant.
skipped that up. All right, anyone in the audience like to speak on this item? If not, does council have any comments? I was trying to wing it, Dan.
You're doing fine.
I didn't read. All right, with no discussion, we do have, can I get a motion on that item, please?
Motion to approve.
All right,
Second.
motion from Deputy Mayor Fletcher, second from Councilmember Urban. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, and the next two items have been withdrawn by the applicant. Madam Clerk, please read item number 4 into the record. Reminder that items 2 and 3 have been withdrawn by the applicant.
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2024-82, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, to annex into the City of St. Cloud approximately plus minus 1.13 acres, identified as Tavera Santiago, located east of Orange Avenue, north of East 10th Street, south of East 5th Street, and west of Rosedale Avenue, in accordance with the voluntary annexation provisions of Chapter 171.044 Florida statutes.
Good evening, Melissa Dunklin again, Director of Community Development. This case before you tonight is also a voluntary annexation for the project known as Tavares Santiago Annexation. The request for annexation is in compliance with state statutes and is contiguous to city limits. The existing county future land use is low-density residential, and the existing county zoning is agricultural. Here's a graphic representation depicting the location of the property, showing that it is diagonally contiguous to city limits. On or before October 25th, 2024, staff recommended approval. Planning Commission also recommended approval, and we are requesting that council approve ordinance number 2024-82. Staff is available for questions, and I believe the applicant is available as well.
All right, thank you. And would the applicant like to speak on this item? Yes.
Good evening. Iris Tavares, 605 Orange Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida, 34769. My husband and myself are the applicants. Thank you for listening to me today. So I wanted to let you know how we kind of got here, because I myself don't know how I got here. So we decided to let our kids try to build next door. And the reason why is my daughter developed MS, and then we decided that we wanted to have her close by. So this is how we got to us trying to build next door to us. We went to the county because we like county. So county tells us, sorry, they even took us our split lot application, and we paid the fee, and they called us back, emailed us back, get a refund because you can't do county. You're going to be annexed eventually, so you have to go get annexed to the city. So I think that's kind of how we got here tonight. Then we came to the city, and city said, you have to voluntarily ask for annexation. So that's kind of how we got here. So between county, which I like the farm life and the open spaces and chickens and roosters, and having my daughter next to me, I chose my daughter and her family being next to me, because I don't want to move. Like I said, that's kind of our forever home. So I would like to stay there. And that's the reason why we're asking for the annexation today. Thank you for listening to me. You have any questions?
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Thank you for speaking. And as I said previously, it's can be a little difficult getting up here and speak. I'm assuming this is because of the JPA, the requirement they have to go and then come back. One of the things that I did want to ask staff real quick. So she had spoke about agricultural, so none of that's really going to change for them, because it's just going to be similar zoning that matches up.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay. I just want to speak into the microphone. Yes, that is correct. They have a county agricultural zoning right now. The city has a compatible agricultural zoning, so they can maintain their agricultural zoning once annexed.
But no roosters.
No
roosters or
roosters.
horses.
But we have a chicken program.
We have,
We do have a chicken keeping program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to me. Have a
Yes.
good night.
Yes, thank you. And Councilmember Gilbert. Ma'am? Ma'am? Councilmember has a question of you. Sorry.
I don't know if it's a question rather than a statement, but we welcome you to the city and you're going to like the city.
Thank you so
I yield
much.
back, Mayor.
All right,
I
and
appreciate that. That's very nice.
Councilmember Urban.
Thank you.
I was just going to say the same thing. And also wanted to verify what Deputy Mayor Fletcher was asking about. She can still keep the agricultural land. So welcome to the city of St. Cloud.
That's great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes. And next we have Mitchell Lee.
My name is Mitchell Lee. I've been in this county my whole life. I own L&E Outdoor Services, Inc. I live at 701 Orange Avenue, which is right next door to them. The neighbor to the right of me is already the city. With them being annexed into the city, remember they said they chose to become in part of the city. The reason I bought my house is to have space and be able to have roosters and chickens and all the things that I want. The Christian thing to do is to be neighborly and be concerning about your neighbors and stuff like that, and put thoughts into what everybody else wants. I would never put myself or my family before somebody else. I would be the type of person to ask my neighbors and let my neighbors know what I want to do, and then maybe do it at that point. So for me, I feel like, the bottom line of it, it's community, right? I don't wish it will go on anybody. I want the best for everybody. But for me, that puts me at no choice because I'm on a finger then, right? So then I lose what I moved and bought my house for, which was supposed to be my forever home. So, for me, I don't necessarily think it's fair for somebody to say that they want to go into the city and not take an accountability of their neighbors, what they want. So that's basically what I have to say about that. I love the city, love everybody here in the city. Like I said, I've worked in the business here for about 30 years now. Community is everything to me. But having my little retreat, not having a house right on top of me is one of the reasons I bought there. I didn't want to move to a neighborhood.
Right.
So that's just, my voice of opinion.
All right. I'd like to go ahead and recognize the city manager first.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that per our joint planning agreement with the county, any properties that are within an enclave will eventually be annexed into the city, whether or not they're currently contiguous or not. City Planning Department is currently looking at annexing enclaves. You are located in an enclave. So whether this property was annexed this evening or not, most likely we will be bringing that forward to the city council here soon.
But this would just make it a lot faster, probably.
No,
It won't change that.
no, it's not a one-by-one process. We do the groups of property all at once through an interlocal agreement with the county.
Well, and the other thing I would take note is you had mentioned agriculture, right? My property used to be a plant nursery. Theirs used to be an orange grove. The people across the street used to have all those things. And, of course, this is going to change everything. You know what I mean? I know you say it's still going to stay agriculture, but you already said we couldn't have our roosters. People across the street ain't going to have their cows no more. We have to get rid of their goats and things like that. So what my thing is what does the community want? Not one person.
All right.
That's
yeah.
it.
Councilmember Urban.
I definitely understand and sympathize with what you're saying. Unfortunately, I believe also it would be fiscally irresponsible for us to not think about these enclaves as our city grows, and we have to do what's best for the residents of St. Cloud as well. I do understand that, and hopefully we can preserve your way of life in your neighborhood for as long as possible. But unfortunately, the annexations are necessary, I believe, at a certain point here in the city. So just wanted to say that.
Sorry, Mayor, I turned my light back on.
All right, Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
I know the city manager had said that we are working on the enclaves, which we are, because we do have to provide services, and then it's kind of spotty. I believe the reason why this voluntary annexation is coming to us is because it was triggered by development. So she's looking, so that's why she's doing it. I would ask if one of our planning folks could get this gentleman's information prior to him leaving, and kind of get him information as far as our agricultural zoning district. Because I mean, there are a lot of similarities. I know that we had just went through this probably about a year and a half ago. I believe Dave Tomac brought it. And the concerns that you have, I believe a lot of them were addressed back then. We don't have all that information here tonight, but they'll get your information so that we can get that over to you. Thank you.
And I appreciate everything you guys do. Thanks for being
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? If not, does council have any other comments or discussion? And if not, can I entertain a motion for the adoption of ordinance number 2024-82?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilmember Urban,
Second.
second by Deputy Mayor Fletcher. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
And Madam Clerk, please read item number 5 and 6 into the record.
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2024-83, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, assigning a future land use designation of park and open space to approximately plus minus 6.61 acres identified as Hopkins Park improvements located east of Orange Avenue, north of East 17th Street, south of East Earl Bromson Memorial, and west of Crawford Avenue, providing for amending the official future land use map of the comprehensive plan, filing of the Planning Commission recommendation and proof of publication, applicability and effect, severability, copies on file, and effective date.
Good evening, Melissa Dunklin again, Director of Community Development. These cases before you tonight are for the Comprehensive Plan Amendment and the Zoning Map Amendment for the project known as Hopkins Park Improvement. The existing future land use is low-density residential and medium-density residential within agricultural, professional, R1A for single-family, R2 for two-family dwelling zoning designations. The requested city land use is park and open space, and the requested zoning designation is OR, open space and recreation. Here's a graphic representation of the future land use map and zoning map. On or before December 17th, 2024, staff recommended approval. Planning Commission also recommended approval. We are requesting City Council approve ordinance numbers 2024-83 and 2024-84, and staff is available for questions as this is an applicant city application initiated by the city.
All right, thank you. And would anyone from the audience like to speak on this item?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, council. Thank you all very much. My name is Pastor Augusta Odom. I live at 1621 Orange Avenue, St. Cloud, just 2 blocks down from Hopkins Park. And I am the president of the Hopkins Park community. And we are so grateful to the council and this community. It's been a long time coming, for the improvements on our park. And we just want to thank y'all for what you're doing. I know it's a slow process, but we have patience. And we just waiting on y'all to go ahead on and get everything complete and start work out there. The community thanks every one of you. God bless you.
Thank you, guys. And Melissa, we do have to read item number 6 into the record. Madam Clerk, can you please read item number 6 into the record?
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2024-84, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, providing for the zoning amendment of the zoning map of the Land Development Code of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, specifically changing the zoning designation of approximately plus minus 6.61 acres identified as Hopkins Park improvements from A agriculture to P agriculture, P professional, R-1A single family dwelling, and R-2 single and two family dwelling, or OR, open space and recreational zoning designation with a park and open space future land use designation generally located east of Orange Avenue, north of East 17th Street, south of East Earl of Bronson Memorial, and west of Crawford Ave, providing for entering the designation on the official zoning map, filing of the Planning Commission recommendation, and proof of publication, severability, and effective date.
Staff is available for questions.
All right, thank you. Gus, would you like to speak on this one as well? All right, and anyone from the audience like to speak on either on item 5 or 6? And if no comment from the audience, would council like to speak on this? Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
I just want to say, Pastor Odom, we're getting there. It's been taking a while, but we're getting there. We do have a representative from Congressman Soto's in the office here, and I'd like to thank his office for the work that they've done out there, and thank staff for all the work that they've done. We're going to get this across the finish line. Thanks, sir.
All right, does council have any more comments? If not, can I entertain a motion for the adoption of ordinance number 2024-83
Motion approved.
and 2024-84?
Motion approved that also.
Motion approved from Councilmember Gilbert.
So we actually need an action on each individual item.
Individual, okay.
Yes, thank you.
I'll second the
All right.
first motion.
All right, so we have a second from Councilmember Gilbert on item number 2024-83 and a second from Councilmember Urban. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
And may I get a motion on item number 2024-84?
Motion approved.
Motion from Councilmember Gilbert,
Second.
second from Councilmember Paul. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
And Madam Clerk, please read item number 7 into the record.
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2024-86, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, amending Chapter 2 Development Process Procedures and Permits, Article 4 Subdivision Plans, Section 2.4.1 through 2.4.12 of the Land Development Code to update procedures for platting and vacations of easements, providing for severability, conflict, administrative correction, codification, publication, and an effective date.
Good evening, Melissa Dunklin, Director of Community Development. This case before you tonight is for a Land Development Code amendment to streamline the approval process for final plats and easement vacations. Currently, there are 3 steps as part of the subdivision approval process, which include the preliminary subdivision plan, the subdivision construction plan, and the final plat process. 2 of these 3 steps require City Council approval, the preliminary subdivision plan and the final plat. When the preliminary subdivision plan comes to City Council approves the lot layouts. They ensure compatibility with adjacent properties and give the opportunity to add any special condition. They are given the opportunity to add any special conditions of approval. Once it's approved by City Council, any major changes would require an amendment to the preliminary subdivision plan, which would require it to come back to City Council. The process for final plats requires staff to verify and confirm consistency with the approved preliminary subdivision plan. And then once staff confirms that the plat is consistent with the preliminary subdivision plan, we have to bring it back to council. And that adds approximately 60 days to the approval process. Currently, construction and utility easements require City Council approval in order to be vacated, which may take approximately 90 days to process. There are generic easements that were required with the plat or specific easements that were recorded for construction projects. Over time, with the current trend for development, these generic or special purpose easements may prove to be unnecessary or even conflict with the city's infrastructure needs. What staff is requesting is that council allow the Development Review Committee to make the final decisions on the final plats, keeping keeping in mind that the plat must be in substantial compliance with the approved preliminary subdivision plans and all applicable state and local laws prior to approval. Also, we are requesting that the city manager or designee have the authority to approve easement vacations that meet the requirements of state statutes and our local ordinances, because we believe that this new process will provide more efficient, business-friendly services and remove the redundant formality that adds over 3 to 6 months to the approval processes. On or before December 10th, 2024, staff recommended approval. Planning Commission also recommended approval, and staff is requesting that City Council approve ordinance 2024-86, and this is a city-initiated request, so I am available for any questions.
All right, thank you. And would anyone from the audience like to speak about this item? Councilmember Gilbert.
Ms. Duncan, do you have a second? I've been spending some time with some of the developers here and some of the longtime developers, and they said, you know, the process used to take 9 months and it's up to 2 years now. So this process here will help close that gap for the developers as we grow. Is that what this ordinance is about?
Yes, sir. We're trying to shorten that review process and get that approval out, because once we bring the preliminary subdivision plan to council, you've already given it your blessing. So if it is not consistent with what you've already blessed, then we'll bring it back to council and ask for any amendments. But if it's consistent with what you've approved, then we'll just go ahead and process it and get it out the door.
Thank you, Ms. Duckland. I yield back, Mayor.
And Councilmember Urban.
Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to thank staff for bringing this forward. I know I had requested this because we want to be, like I said, keep repeating myself, want to be one of the most business-friendly towns in Florida and encourage business here. And I think this is a great way to streamline things. It makes it easier on the applicant and on staff. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve from Councilmember Urban. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second from Deputy Mayor Fletcher. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Madam Clerk, please call item number 8 into the record.
Well, item number 8 was continued to February.
That's right, item number 8. And so we had 3 people speak on that, but that'll be continued to the February 13th meeting. Madam Clerk, please read item number 9 into the record.
Public hearing for resolution number 2025-003R, a resolution of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, amending resolution number 2024-120R, which adopted the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget for the City of St. Cloud, finding the city manager has certified there are prior year fund balances and/or current revenues available in the budget for additional projects and programs in various funds not included in the original budget, requiring the budget to be increased to include said additional funding in the various funds and making supplemental appropriations within the funds.
Jeff Cooper, Finance Director. This is budget amendment number 2 to our fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. As indicated, the city manager has certified funds are available to appropriate for these projects, which are as follows. Project ST2503, Orange Avenue Extension, $1 million in Mobility Impact Fee Fund. That's for land purchase to accommodate the Orange Avenue Extension. And interest-only debt payments for the 2024 FLGFC, Florida Government Finance Commission loan. That was used for the Progress Lane property purchase, which the fire department now resides, administration, and we also have some other departments moving out there, and also put towards the 17th Street Ball Fields project. So that's $320,000 in fire impact fees. And staff recommendation is approval of resolution 2025-003R, and we're requesting that city council approve Resolution 2025-003R. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
All right, thank you, Jeff. And would anyone from the audience like to speak on this item? And I have a question for the city manager. Yes, Mr. Odom? And please, your name and record, address for the record.
Again, Pastor Augusta Odom, 1621 Orange Avenue, St. Cloud. Concerning the easement on Orange Avenue, which I'm assuming that's going to, instead of going, it's going to go right straight through, just one that going straight through. Where is it going to end up at?
So that item is actually on the agenda on council action. But basically the portion that we are purchasing is going to go from Nolte Road up into the Roan Bridge subdivision. And then from there through the Roan Bridge subdivision to, is that 17th Street or 19th Street?
19th Street.
19th Street.
Yes. Okay. Another question. When this was talked about a while ago, and as you know, right now we have a lot of traffic on 192. You know, getting out on Crawford Street and Orange Avenue, and it's a major problem, especially during rush hour. We was told that there was going to be a red light put up at Orange Avenue. Is that going to happen?
So originally when the Roan Bridge subdivision was going through, they did talk about the fact that Orange Avenue and 192 did meet the separation distance for a light in the future, but we can't guarantee the timing because that's actually the DOT's road.
Okay.
But it is something that the city would support in the future.
Okay. What I'm concerned about is when that road goes straight through, just imagine there's going to be a lot of subdivisions, something built down that's going to bring in more traffic on Orange Avenue.
Well, we're hoping that the piece that we're purchasing is going to send them down to Nolte so that then they can take Nolte to the Turnpike or Nolte to Hickory Tree to go up to the 417.
And that'll be just great. Thank you.
Will the Orange Avenue will connect to the 90 degree at Orange or 17th and Orange or 19th and Orange?
So the Roan Bridge subdivision, I don't have the plans with me this evening to see what that exact alignment is, but it will connect up to 19th Street. There's going to be a school over there along the way also. But Mr. Odom, you're welcome to come in and we'll show you the plans for the Roan Bridge subdivision because it sounds like you want to look at them.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Are we talking about widening Orange? Because Roan Bridge, that's going to be a 4-lane road, I think, the north-south, right? Isn't that connected to Nolte?
So I don't know what is going through the Roan Bridge subdivision, but there is no current plans to widen Orange Avenue from 19th Street north to 192. In my opinion, it's a little bit of a constrained roadway.
homes on that.
There's the Benjamin Estate subdivision is like.
I think
right
that's your
there.
question is what's the impact to that area right there, right? That's true.
If you do widen it, it's going to take all of my yard.
Are you right on that little
Right on the
stretch?
corner of 17th and Orange Avenue.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, right now there's no plans to widen Orange Avenue north of 19th Street.
Okay, do we have anyone else from the audience like to discuss this item? And any discussion from council? Jeff, did you have something else?
I do not.
No? All right. And can I get a motion to approve number 2025-00R003R?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Councilmember Urban,
Second.
second from Councilmember Paul. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul. Aye. Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scoop.
Melissa, can you give your number to Mr. Odom so he can come in and see Roan Bridge?
All right, and this brings us to the council action section. Madam Clerk, please read council action number 1.
Resolution number 2025-012R, A resolution of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, approving the agreement for the purchase of approximately 3.25 acres of certain vacant real properties and associated temporary construction easements located on Nolte Road, north of Hickory Grove Road, and west of Hitch Loop for the purchase price of $959,865 from the Thomas D. Furtick Family Trust and the Maureen Furtick Family Trust, and authorizing the mayor and/or city manager to perform all acts necessary and appropriate to close on the property as provided herein.
Good evening, Council. I'll be Ismael Abreu, a Strategic Initiative Administrator, and I am here to present Resolution 2025-012R. This resolution is for a purchase agreement for right-of-way acquisition related to the Orange Avenue Extension Project. The terms of the agreement is for the purchase of 3.25 acres, of which 2.28 acres is for right-of-way and 0.97 acres for stormwater pond. The agreement also includes two 10-feet temporary construction easements. The purchase price is, here we go again with the numbers, is $959,865, with the closing costs being paid by the buyer. There's also some special conditions that are non-monetary that are put in the contract, the purchase agreement, which is the construction of a cattle agricultural fencing by the city, as well as keeping the proposed access points on Orange Avenue into the Furtick's family property. And I will show you what that means in just a second. So hopefully you can see this a little bit. So I'll explain what this map means. We have the color, I believe that is a yellowish color. That's the existing right-of-way. The city's intention on the purchase is the light pink. That is the 2.3 acres that we are referring to. That's for the right-of-way. The blue at the bottom is already existing right-of-way. Sorry, I forgot to mention that with the yellow. So the yellow and the blue is existing right-of-way. The pink is the proposed right-of-way acquisition. And then we have the solid, more bright pink, or more of a stronger pink, which those are the 10-feet easements. The dash area there on the east is the rectangle that's dashed. That is the stormwater pond location, so that you have a little bit of reference. The special considerations, if you can turn around and see my light over here. So these two arrows on the top, those are the entrances that we mentioned that they would like to keep as the access. And then on top, in this little area over here, that is for where the fencing, the cattle fencing will be located, so that you have a little bit of reference.
Are those I'm sorry. Abby.
Yes.
Are those access points, are those right-of-ways now or easements?
No, there will be curb cuts for eventual, if there's going to be development, there will be just curb cuts. 82 feet is what we have proposed in there.
And that's where eventual roads will come off into
If
the
the
other.
neighboring properties one day develop, yeah.
Okay.
A bit of background on this agreement. The purchase of this right-of-way is actually part of an agreement with between the city and the developers of Romebridge, in which there's a timeline where the city is required to acquire this right-of-way before March 2025. So we're almost there. This also meets our strategic key focus areas, reliable transportation network. Staff recommends approval of this resolution, and I am here tonight asking for City Council's approval as well. It's staff initiated, so I'm here if you have any questions, and I believe the Furtick family, I saw them here as well, if you have questions from them.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. And would the applicant like to speak on this item?
There is no.
Staff is the
Staff.
applicant.
Oh, staff is the
You're
applicant on this. Gotcha. All right, and we have council, anyone in the audience like to speak on this item? All right, and so we have council comment. Councilmember Gilbert.
The comment I'd like to make is to thank the Furticks for working with the city of St. Cloud as we continue to grow, and their ability to help us do that in the right way. So I'd just like to thank the Furticks for their generosity in working with the city council and the city of St. Cloud. I yield back, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Now I'd like to recognize City Manager Miller.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment, although because we put together the agenda, it says it's staff initiated, but we were actually directed by the past city council to acquire this right of way because within the Roan Bridge subdivision, the southernmost lot is planned to be a fire station. So the city council directed staff to pursue this. And yes, we thank the Furdicks quite a bit. We brought them in on the holidays and many other days. So we really do appreciate.
And would anyone from the Furtick family like to speak on this?
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Jerome Furtick, 50 Furtick Road. The only thing I'd like to say, so hearing kind of what the Orange Avenue talk was earlier, since it would be nice to separate it and make it a boulevard that it is by itself, so people won't think Orange Connects might help out with traffic, renaming it to a boulevard name. If you need a name, I have a name also.
What you got?
Since both properties that you are affecting, someone sold my grandfather's place, which is Running Bridge, and then the road that comes through our ranch. It'd be good if it was Broken T Ranch Boulevard. Just a thought. Be something to think about. Distinguished from Old Orange Avenue, which the traffic you do not want on that road. I agree, because it's not a good road to drive on with a lot of traffic. So just a thought, but yes, it was good working with you. It took a little bit, but we worked through the process, and, you know, we got accesses to both sides of the road, which we didn't get with Nolte. So we appreciate you looking at the business of cattle. It does affect my mom's ranch and cattle quite a bit. I know progress comes through the city, and it's here, and we're trying to help, you know, grow with this city as much as we can, but we don't want it to leave. See, a lot of people want to sell their land. We want to stay and do cattle. I know it's hard to understand when the people talk about money and this and that. My mom likes the cattle. We want to do cattle. These roads do affect us quite a bit, because now you have to transport stuff across roads and stuff to keep running if you like to do it. So we appreciate you working with us on the fencing and so on, because I mean, it does affect a lot of the business that we do with the cattle. So.
All right. Now, I was seeing those connector points, those access points. Are those, so do you have plans in the future, if you don't mind me asking?
No, those were just literally those connector points is for me to drive hay and food to the other side for cows. Now, could they be used in the future for something? Sure. If mom ever decides to want to sell the property, sure. Because I know with that 30 acres it would be the east side of the road. We were in talks kind of with even the fire department maybe going there, but I think they are going just above the Sun to the Running Bridge property. So, I mean, it does open that section into harder to be cattle. So I think in the future, we'll probably sit down with you, but listen, we want to work with you as a city, because listen, all this is in county still, right? So if y'all want to plan, y'all need to sit and actually give and take, right? Treat your citizens, residents that have paid taxes here a long time, better than developers. Because developers come in, you don't charge them to vacate right of ways. If I come in to vacate a right of way, you're going to charge me almost $2,000. I mean, there's a lot of things that you need to, as council members, take in consideration as small residents versus developers. We're running cows. I'm not building houses and making a lot off of it. We barely make money on cows, but we love it. So big difference, big green open space. We're not impacting the roads. We're not doing a lot of stuff. We're going to impact this road because we're going to drive across it to feed cows. That's the only impact you'll see. So you might get some complaint with dirt on the road. Not a lot, but maybe some.
I do see another access point on the roundabout there.
I think that's a proposed, I mean, we'll take it if you want to put one there, but it does no purpose for us to have that access there on the roundabout. I think, because I don't think you ever want traffic to enter into that roundabout like that. I'm no engineer though.
City manager, is that a staff that we put that there, that we wanted it there, or no?
You know, I think that was the design that Roan Bridge worked on with staff, and I would not want to make that change now unless we had to.
Right. So we're fine with it if it's there.
I mean, that just means there's going to be a gate at this point.
Right.
That's not necessarily going to be a road or.
Right.
Okay. And
we have no plans for any. Because if you look straight across from where all that connects, we have another access point on the north and south side of Nolte. 82-foot curb cut on both sides of the road too. You can't see it on your map because the two squares are in the way. But listen, the property here for the long term, the south side I know was on I think y'all had a retreat and y'all put in order different properties that you were interested in purchasing. And I believe we were on one of the list for one of the top people. The south side of Nolte, my mom would love to see to go to the city versus the building. So of course, we're not wanting to give away. It's not donation, but we still want to work with the city. These roads are lining up to do something that I think the city could use. I think y'all need to really give staff direction to work on that. And we're flexible on how we work with it because we know y'all have budgets. So there's ways we can work it out because she would love to see that be parkland or civic center, ball fields. Just thought since I have a little bit of time,
Yeah, something
because
good for the
listen, we
community.
want to grow with the city. It's coming, right? We know we're being pushed out. Okay. So we rather see things grow in a good way, longevity wise, better for the city other than more rooftops. Right. So.
All right, thank you, Mr. Furtick. Deputy Mayor Fletcher,
I
please
just-
stay.
I just want to say thank you and thank you to your family, your mother. I knew your father, we knew him well. And appreciate that. And I appreciate you not saying, hey, you know what, I'm out of here. You know what it's like up here and how it is to serve. And we thank you for that. So thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
And Councilmember Paul.
Yes, I
Mr.
wanted to
Furtick.
say
Yep. You're not
thank
done
you
yet.
to the Furtick family and especially your heartfelt message and also working with the city on this project. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and you mentioned right-of-ways. Are there current right-of-ways on any of these parcels that we're going to have to address in the future?
Yeah, so we have talked with staff and that's kind of why I bring it up because we have to work through and when you have engineering firms and stuff and you can just turn stuff over, the process is a little easier when you can just give it to someone. For like vacating something that you own, paper map, like say you see that right away, we're not building nothing. We want to eliminate our right of ways in there. Like there's roads that are basic canals. You're not going to build on a canal, I promise you. So there's a few of those roads that we would like to vacate. And we're working on it, but it's a whole packet, and I've never done one of these vacate right of ways. Is there any way, that, is there anything that we could do different on that along with this?
I don't know the process on right-of-ways. City Manager Miller, is that something, how do they go about vacating right-of-ways on any of these parcels?
So originally we were actually trying to work with them to do it as part of this. It got really complicated. And so the decision was basically made to let's separate and do one thing at a time. So the problem with the vacation is there is additional expense involved because we have to advertise it. We have to send out mailers. So there are some additional concerns. I will say that there's on the staff side, there's still some concerns about vacating some of these right-of-ways. I understand Mr. Furtick's point about there being a canal. So I think there's like part that staff is comfortable with, and I think there's part that staff's a little concerned about in the future. Because once Miss Matheny used to say it all the time, once you give up a right of way, you never really get it back. Where we know he's not going to develop, and we don't want to have to fight with someone in 20 years if they ever do decide to. So it's just something we have to continue working together on it. But we're going to. We worked good on this, and we're going to continue to work on that. We're also, and he's right. The number one land that we were interested in was their property south of Nolte Road. It's just a really big piece of property. So it was, a lot for us financially to try to handle. There's also quite a bit of wetlands on there. We actually wanted to buy the part that they're running cattle on right now. They didn't want to sell that part. But
then we will move out. I mean, the reason you have land next to you is not to have people at your back door, right?
Yeah.
So
All right. Now, y'all currently live at the end of Furtick.
Furtick
Road.
Road, yes.
Okay. And there's a road that may or may not go through there.
Well,
and
this is why
split
this
the
came about,
property up
right?
even more?
Furtick Road was this road. Originally, when I came up here to address why are we putting Furtick Road into Michigan Avenue? Because Sky Lakes, it would have dead end Furtick Road into the subdivision Sky Lake, which would have solved no traffic issues for you. At least this road gives you alleviation, and it doesn't come, and it has personal gain to our family because it doesn't come through our front door, right? Because the 4-lane, that kind of highway would have took between me and my brother's house, we'd be right on the sidewalk, right? So there was personal, but there's also logical that Nolte Road is not a felling road. You're dumping your whole subdivision out on Nolte Road now. But we were guaranteed that Furtick Road is not going through. So if you want to ask if that is still the case, I would appreciate that.
Is Furtick Road still not going to go through, or is that?
Right, so
part
they
of the-
revised their plans to not send Furtick Road through. Again, if Mr. Furtick sells his property in the future, it is made so that we could connect, but
While they
as it is
still-
right now, it's not going through. And I think I think if I remember correctly, the road with the vacation that staff might have been the most concerned about, if I remember correctly, was Eastern. I think Eastern was on your property, and that's, I think, where we were the most concerned.
Yeah, so if you all want to come look at that, because it will be something I will be bringing forward, even if we have to go through the application to vacate, you're going to see it's just the canal. So you're not going to, even the right of way that you are by paper have, you're either going to have to fill in a canal and figure out drainage from the school that we allowed to dig across our property and figure out where that's going to go, because you're going to fill in that canal to use it. So I'd be more, and that's the whole way of Eastern, the whole length of Eastern on our property. So it doesn't make sense for you to not let us vacate it. And the only reason we want to vacate it is because of this. We're trying to run a ranch, a business, just like any other business is running, and we can't keep running it without knowing what's being pushed next down us, right? So you should take in consideration of a business that's been running here for almost 100 years. My grandfather started this. He actually allowed your city to grow. The spray field that you all are turned into a golf course, we let you annex 5-acre tracts to get to that spray field so the city could grow. So there's a lot of history, but y'all change, and a lot of people change up here. You don't get fed the history. Your job is to look at things that come in front of you, but we also give and take. We're not stopping progress, but you also have to work with us. I don't see the effect of, if we shut off an easement, how that affects anything, because these projects that come in vacate every easement you got anyway. But then they put the roads where? If we wouldn't have gave you this boulevard and you would have got your 30-foot easement, the traffic would be atrocious out on Orange up to 192. I mean, it'd be a nightmare. I mean, logistically. So we are working with you. I think it's really easy to have good faith that we're working with you to also work back the same way, right? We apply just like anyone else. We'll apply for it to get the vacation. And it's not, all we're doing is trying to protect what we have as a business. So we have long-term visibility. Because you understand, Nolte Road split our ranch in half. We were the largest property owner the road affected. And we didn't get entrances across from each other because the city was mad we fought. So every other development got entrances across from each other. The biggest property owner, they did not allow us entrances across from each other. You were not involved in that, but I'm just telling you a little history. So I have to drive a tractor over a curb and humps to get to my other side of the property. That's not working good with your residents here. So that's why we're happy with you're giving us entrances. We're working with you. But also, if you don't mind, if we could do the vacation, which is a whole nother separate issue, I guess, unless y'all direct differently.
Well, and that's where I want to ask a question on that. So this road came through here. Are the right of ways still on either of these two parcels to the east or the west?
Yes,
they are. But city manager, you said they were taken out of the negotiations. Is it because of the timeline to close the deal by March?
You mean Furtick Road?
No, the to vacate the right of ways.
So.
You said you
so-
stopped talking about that because, for some reason.
Mr. Tomek was negotiating to drop the purchase price
Right. So
for the vacation, and that's where the decision was made to separate. And let's just talk one issue at a time.
So,
Okay.
so it came down to unusable land versus usable land. You can't tell me a piece of property is worth so-and-so. But we went back and forth on, because a canal is what you're trading me a right of way for usable land. Okay, am I allowed to fill that canal in? You know what I mean? And then cause problems for y'all later? I mean, you get what I'm saying? Like, we're not wanting to cause any problems. We're just wanting vacation so we know roads are not going to be future down the line, pushing straight across. We're giving you a north to south. You shouldn't need any more north to south. We're giving you 118-foot wide north to south. Ronan Bridge is not even giving you that, and you control the development. How come you don't have it going through the whole development?
So if I can help, I think what he's really asking is if the council would allow him to apply for the vacations and not pay the application fee.
Is that?
I think that's what the
That's what you're
application, I
asking?
think that's what
Sure.
the request is.
It was brought up. I didn't bring it up. So
No.
yeah, I'll take that.
Well, yeah, but
I'm good with that.
Thanks. Hey, you can come work for me, Ronica. It's great.
All right, and also staff, you'll work with staff, I guess, to determine whether or not that we want to vacate them in the
Yeah,
future.
I mean, we're going to
That's-
tell you the pros and the
yeah.
cons, and we're going to
Yeah.
give you both sides of it. And,
Yeah.
council's going to have to make that final decision. But I think that's really what the request at this
Right.
point is if we could just waive the application fee. And if I see three nods, I see three nods. So
City Attorney, yes.
I would just want to clarify, that is really the application fee, as I think Mr. Fertig alluded to it. There's a lot of moving parts to an abandonment of a right of way, including surveys and title work and things like that. The city can't waive that.
Right.
So we
Okay.
need, but we can work on those things.
But the application that we can do that. Okay.
the,
And
the
I
straight
think that's-
application
that
fee, we can go ahead and
clarifies
waive
it for
that.
me. All right, because I know I got to tell you, growing up here, I didn't know what land was y'all's or Clay's or
Right.
whoever's, and roads go through and chopped up, and I mean, I was riding down Michigan the other day, and I said, well, Indian Lakes
Right.
Lakes to the one side and Southern Pines to the other, and
Right.
I know that both sides used to be Fertig land.
You're right.
1998, I think that cut through there.
Yep.
So thank you for clarifying that for me. So, all right. Do you have any other questions?
Good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
All right. And can I entertain a motion from council on this item?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Councilmember Paul,
Second.
second from Councilmember Urban. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, next items on the agenda are ordinance for the city council first reading and introduction for the sole purpose of the council to authorize the publication of the ordinance for a final hearing. If you have questions on these items, please see city staff in the back of the chambers. Full presentations and public input on the ordinances will occur at the final hearing, at which the council will consider final action. Madam Clerk, please read item number 1 to the record.
First reading and introduction for ordinance number 2025-01, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, contracting 2 parcels totaling approximately plus minus 3.86 acres, identified as LaSalle Avenue, located north of Cypress Avenue, east of Kaiser Avenue, and west of LaSalle Avenue, owned by Servin Duke and Chantal Vorn and Kersey Dustin Cole, amending the boundary lines of the municipality to remove said properties from ordinance number 2024-52 due to a scrivener's error, providing for severability, conflicts, publication, and effective date.
All right, can I get a motion on the approval of ordinance number 2025-01?
Motion approved.
Motion from Deputy Mayor Fletcher,
Second.
second from Councilmember Paul. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Madam Clerk, please read item number 2 into the record.
First reading and introduction for ordinance number 2025-02, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud of Osceola County, Florida, amending City Code Chapter 44 Utilities by amending Section 44-31, adoption of the Toho-Pickalika Water Authority policies, and adding Section 44-32, new individual residential and general services, providing for severability, conflict, administrative correction, codification, and effective date.
All right, can I please have a motion for the approval of ordinance number 2025-02?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Deputy Mayor Fletcher,
Second.
second from Councilmember Urban. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, and City Attorney?
I do not have anything, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir, thank you. And City Manager?
So I put on my glasses a little while ago and realized that I read the wrong, a higher number for the roof than it actually was. So I just wanted to correct, I think I said 575,000. It was actually 515,000.
Could you read that again? Because each time you read it, it goes down.
Yeah.
So,
Is that the police chief working that number down? Bring it lower, Taser.
I deserve it all. Luckily, that number was only on the agenda and not on the resolution. So I just wanted to clarify that. I apologize.
Thank you.
I'm going to tell you another savings, so I'll put my glasses on again. We have a contract for 17th Street ball fields, and if we buy the lighting ourselves, we can save $38,571.80. So staff is, am I asking for consensus to allow us to
It's
do
just
this?
essentially a consensus acknowledgement that it's okay for the city to self-purchase those items and save them.
Write the check.
Right. So see, you know how much money you just saved in the last 2
Can
minutes?
you read about the roof again?
Additionally, I would like to ask for the council's consensus to have the mayor sign 2 support letters for Osceola County grants. One is for Cross Prairie Parkway, and the other is for an advanced flood model technology. I see
Go with that?
2.
Okay,
I
we're
see
good.
3. Okay, thank you. And the very last thing is I just want to recognize that today is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. So we appreciate all of the people in our police department and that they keep us safe every day. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Paul?
I don't have anything. Thank you to everyone for coming out tonight.
All right, and Councilmember Urban?
Well, we had a resident speak at the Citizens Forum about the Veterans Council. I would like to look into explore ways that our city could embrace that. I think that might be a good idea if the council is interested in that.
I would be supportive of that.
So I'll need kind of direction on what you will want the committee to work on. At some point, the process is we'd have to bring forward a resolution that would, call out the terms of what that committee does. And so we'll be looking for some more direction on what you would want them to do.
Right, and the mayor, you mentioned you serve on the city of Orlando's. It's a
Yes.
similar type of committee or commission. Look, we can reach out and see how they're established and what goals or they've established for that committee as a benchmark to put together something and bring it back to you, as well as other cities that have those.
Yeah, it's an amazing council.
Okay.
It's you've got somebody from Congressman Soto's office, you got Representative Escamani's on there, myself, members from all VITAS, so Veteran Services. It's a makeup of everybody. We all kind of network and work together for Mayor Dyer and his initiatives, but this would be more of a council, veterans council or committee, however we want to call it. Yeah. But thank you, Councilmember Urban. I think that's great. And Deputy Mayor Fletcher, I think that's a great idea. So
Yeah, even if it's something we got to talk about it in a workshop and go more in depth on it. I just would like to start exploring that idea. So, yeah.
And that is something that Councilman Fletcher has come into my office several times to talk about the resource center and what we can do. And we had actually talked a few ideas forward previously that maybe we could come tell you about at a workshop also.
Yeah, that was kind of, so, like having dinner and learning, the challenges that veterans have getting connected to the services at the VA. I had the opportunity to meet with Dottie over the last, probably it was about a couple months ago at FIRE to get a better understanding of what the challenges that they have and how we could better assist them. So I'm excited to see that, other council members are wanting to put something together, because I do think it's something that we need, especially since we're Soldier City. So.
Yeah, and the one in Orlando is heavily involved. They actually put on a very large parade every year for Veterans Day. And maybe that's something we can look at in the future that group can put together. Obviously, we were the friendly Soldier City, so obviously our focus on veterans is a very good thing for our citizens.
So I hear a workshop to talk it through. That's what I heard. Okay.
Yes.
The only other thing is their MLK Day of Service at Hopkins Park on January 20th. It's a great event, gets the community out, help and serve. So unfortunately, I won't make it this year. Last year, it was a great group of people that made it out there, and would like to encourage residents to come out to that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Councilmember Gilbert.
Well, Councilman Urban, I won't be able to make it either. I'll be at the inauguration during that day, but it's a great event, and I hope that folks show up. In 2025, the city of St. Cloud's a wonderful place to live, wonderful place to work, a wonderful place to play. I'm honored to work with the council folks, the council people that have been here, the new council people that are here, to continue our growth in a professional manner, and also recognize that the citizens come first. So I'm excited for 2025. Each year, as I get older, I'm the oldest statesman here on dais now, so you can call me grandpa or pops or whatever. But I certainly look forward to 2025 and getting a lot of things done on our plate. I thought last year was a very good year, and I think we can outdo ourselves with the council and the city and the citizens. And I love the city of St. Cloud, and I'm honored to work with you guys. So I yield back, Mayor.
Thank you. And Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
I feel like I'm turning into Councilwoman Matheny because I have a list. So New Year's was great. I wanted to say thank you to Rose, Aaron, Oakley, and all the staff who put that on. I know that we gave direction to save money. They came in and were able to provide a good celebration to the city. It was nice to see everybody out there. Second, the PIO office has done a wonderful job of putting together a list of committee vacancies. I've seen it out on social media. There's no better way to get involved than to join one of the communities to actually get up here and affect change. Also, I had the opportunity to attend a production by Theater in the Cloud, and they do an outstanding job with the arts here locally. I was wondering if the council would be interested in them coming to a future council meeting and providing a presentation of all of the wonderful things that they do for the arts here in the community. I know that they're always at the downtown markets, and they're over at the women's club. If we could possibly allow that would be great. And then the final thing that I have is, a while back we had passed an ordinance or resolution in reference to accessory dwelling units. And I would like to, we've had 2 applicants for that in over a year. And I believe that the language in the ordinance that's restricting, I won't say restricting, that's stopping people from applying, is the impact fee requirement. So we just, at the council meeting at that time, we struck through that paragraph. I'd like to see if we could get consensus to bring that back with the original language, not charging the impact fees on those, so that it can, it'll help with, seniors that are, living with kids. It'll help with, children that are still living at home, et cetera. They'd have to meet all the other requirements, and they'd also have to pay the school impact fees. So the language does exclude the school impact fees. I did speak with the school district. They're currently going through a mobility fee or impact fee study that may or may not include that. I just think it would be a better program if we didn't charge the impact.
Councilmember Urban.
I wanted to say I could speak from personal experience. We always talk about how unaffordable housing has become, especially here in Central Florida. This is a great affordable housing alternative for our residents. And by charging the double impact fees, I just always felt that was an extra burden that made housing more unaffordable. So I'm 100% in support of that.
City Manager.
I from the feedback that I have gotten, the impact fees are definitely one obstacle. The other obstacle that we are encountering is the additional parking that we are requiring by the addition. So if you think about the fact that if it's supposed to be to help you with an elderly relative, the additional parking spaces, they're they may not be driving anymore. That's why they're living with their children. So that is something that you may also want to ask us to look at the same time, or not. Just wanted to put that
Yeah,
consideration.
I think we should look at the entirety. So, I mean, obviously the impact fee is the bigger concern at the moment. But if we could just give it a once over, and if there's anything that staff thinks we should look at when we bring it back, we could just go ahead and include that.
I saw enough nods. We will bring it back.
Yeah, and I support that. The one question I have now, this is on R1 zonings that we allow accessory structures. This was done before.
It was everywhere.
So it's allowed on all zonings.
But really, it's the grid, because in subdivisions with HOAs, they're typically not going to allow it. But it was for straight zoning.
Yeah, and I fully support, obviously, if it's a grandmother or a child going to college and they want to live behind the house. What prevents a secondary family and them renting out for another family? Like, is that
So those were all things.
preventable?
Those were all things that we covered when we brought it forward the first time. I don't have the ordinance here off the top of my head, but we would be happy to sit down with you and go over it.
All right, so it is addressed in there.
If I
So
remember
there's
correctly, it
conditions
was,
on-
yes.
There's
Mhm.
conditions on the accessory structures
Yes.
as to how many can live in it or what the.
No, I'm looking. Can I ask our planning director to come up?
I'm the
She
guy with a
wrote
lot of
it.
questions. I'm sorry.
That's expert.
Hello, Melissa Dunklin. Going strictly off of memory, I believe that we included a clause that said the property owner had to live in the primary structure, and then the accessory structure could be rented out, but we did not restrict the number of people because we thought if it's the property owner in the principal structure, they're going to make sure that there is some sort of limitation on how many people are in their backyard.
And Melissa, I don't even think it was a family. It could be any.
Right. It could be a single person, a single mom, a husband, wife, and any dynamic that would make sense in that sort of accessory unit.
Yeah,
And we
I
restricted
support
the square
those.
footage. That
Yes.
was the biggest.
Square footage, I believe, was restricted to either 60% of the primary dwelling unit or less.
And I think it was or 1,000,
Yeah, I couldn't remember that
maximum of
number.
1,000 square feet. I think also.
Okay, you can't cram 12 people in 1,000 square feet. So that's where I was asking is how many people are we putting on one property?
If I could, Mayor, so as I recall, when this was brought back, it was, as Mr. Urban pointed out, there was a goal to try to encourage additional housing options, and that's what staff supported. I do believe when we were talking to the city council, we realized that this was a code that may have to be tweaked depending on how many folks actually applied. As Mr. Fletcher pointed out, I don't think it's meeting the goal that was intended, so it's probably worth it to do a complete almost review or audit of the ordinance to find out what's holding up the applications or what the obstacles are for the people that can do this, because it's staff's goal was to promote additional housing options in the city, and it doesn't seem to be working at this point.
Councilmember Fletcher.
And
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
so we've had two people apply, and they've paid impact fees, and then we decide to change it. What happens to the impact fees that we collected?
You're opening up a,
I know,
Big can.
I know.
can we talk about that later?
Yes, sir.
All right, is that all today? All right, thank you. I would like to say New Year's Eve was amazing. The city did a phenomenal job. Police Chief Gerke, your crew, Deputy Jason Miller, Fire Chief Miller, everybody was amazing. They showed the presence downtown. Everybody appreciated seeing that. We all felt safe. Rose did an amazing job, was up all night there, and she ate within the last 10 minutes of the night and about fell asleep. She about crashed, but no, they worked very hard. Parks and Rec, Stephanie, the whole group really put an amazing event on. The theater and the Cloud folks back here, y'all did an amazing job. Thank you for letting us come up there and throw some shirts and allowing Ken to dance, have a dance off in front of everybody.
Wasn't pretty, but it was okay.
It was a lot of fun. I couldn't talk all night, so I lost my voice, but I really had an amazing time. So I hadn't been out in many years for the downtown. And so city manager, you did a phenomenal job. So thank you for orchestrating it all.
The team did good, and I must recognize that I had asked the city council to allow Councilman Gilbert to join us with his special event planning expertise. So, you know, we definitely need to recognize that he helped staff take it to the next level.
Very good.
Well, I thank you, but it was all staff, and sorry that Rose is my daughter, but she was hired well before I was elected, so she wants me to make sure
No,
I
she did
say
a great
that.
job. Yeah, the music was great. Had 3 stages, bands all night, and
All
it was a
local
great
too,
job.
Mayor.
Yeah.
All
It
local.
was.
It was beautiful.
And of course, the supervillains, they messaged me and said, hey, you know, whenever you guys are ready, we'll come back. I know they've done it in the past. The last thing, I was sad to see that the farmers market downtown is not moving forward. I know I saw a lot of comments on social media. Do we see one in the future, or maybe using Veterans Park or something that maybe gets the exposure out there? I'm sorry, I keep hitting my mic. I think maybe wasn't recognized that it was downtown and people didn't, I don't know. Where do we feel that why it didn't survive? We don't know yet.
It was not supported by the local businesses downtown. You know, so that was a struggle from the very beginning. Was the location, not wanting to have the street closed. And I know that she would have helped with advertising, you know, but I think she, in addition to us advertising it, I think she had hoped that, you know, some of the businesses would help advertise it also. The monthly market group, you know, they're all the same people. So she was a business and she couldn't continue. You know, they had to continue. She was a business. She had to make money. She knows that we would love to work with her again in the future.
All right. I'd like to, maybe when we talk about the Veterans Committee, maybe we throw that on that workshop and maybe try and strategize, come up with some ideas. Because I really love to see a farmer's market thrive in our community. I know they've tried it many times, but every time it's downtown, and it doesn't seem like the downtown businesses are receptive to it. So,
I mean, I do want to defend the downtown businesses. They did say from the very beginning that they felt that customers that doing it every week could not support it. I forget the word they used, but they did say that almost like fatigue if you did it every week, where that's why they think that their monthly market is so successful. We also had problems with the weekly market, that when they were in front of City Hall, they didn't have access to power. The power connections are south of 10th Street, which the businesses didn't want her to close the road on Saturdays, which meant it had to be on Sunday. But then a lot of the businesses weren't open on Sundays. So I think the success of a market involves, you know, the customers not just going to the farmers market, but being able to window shop, walk through the downtown, and that wasn't quite possible. But we can talk about it further. I mean, staff would like to do whatever we can.
okay, let's throw that on that workshop as well, please, if we can. For that, I don't know if we have that sometime in February. I assume we have
We have, we can put it on February.
okay, thank you. And that is all I have. And let me make sure we got everything here. This brings us to the information and report section. So Friday, January 10th, 2025, we have the Community Redevelopment Agency meeting at 2 p.m. at the Building Department Conference Room. Thursday, January 16th, 2025, City Council Workshop, 1 p.m. at the Building Department Conference Room. Monday, January 20th, 2025, city offices are closed in observance of Martin Luther King Day. Friday, January 24th, 2025, City Council Workshop, 2 p.m. at the Building Department Conference Room. And Thursday, February 13th, 2025, City Council meeting at the City Hall Council Chambers. And for your review, we do have warrant list number 3. And with that being said, this meeting is adjourned.